Welcome to the D-Shift podcast, where we provide inspiration, motivation, and education to help you transition from the challenges of divorce to discover the freedom and ability to live life on your own terms. Are you ready? Let's get this shift started. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the D-Shift podcast. And today we are going to talk about something that the world just can't get enough of, and that is love. And I have a real expert on today. I want to introduce you to Ry Duong. She is an amazing person. I just met her recently, but it was phenomenal when we spoke. We just had so much in common, and really a very similar kind of focus on how we're helping our clients. So I want to bring you, I want you to have a chance to experience the positivity and energy that Ry brings. She is the founder of Eternal Love. And she's the author of Choose You, Choose Happiness. I love that title. It's on I actually just purchased that book, so I'm waiting for it to get here and read it. She has a background in social work, and now she is a relationship coach, and she works with individuals and couples to break potentially toxic patterns of behavior and to find that really, that person that they can have that meaningful and long-term connection with. So, Ry, welcome.
Thank you so much, Marty, for having me. Thank you for the beautiful intro. I really appreciate it. And not only do we have a lot in common, but apparently the three digit of our phone number is exactly the same without knowing.
Exactly. And I always say this, and it's so weird, but the internet, once you get into the internet space where you're in a particular niche area and you're working, especially around the idea of relationships either ending like I do or starting like Ry does, it's actually quite a small world. Like we found out we knew multiple people in the industry when we were talking back and forth earlier. So before we go off on this tangent, because I will go off on a tangent, let's talk a little bit about you. Ry, tell us a little bit about your life story and why now you focus on relationships.
Okay, thank you so much. So a little bit of a background of Ry. Ry is born in Cambodia. My parent, after fleeing the Cambodian genocide of the Khmer Rouge in 1975, we didn't really have a homeland to live in. So we live in the Thai refugee camp. I lived there for 9 years before immigrating, being accepted to Canada. And then what really transitioned me into building Eternal Love was 5 years ago. I lost my baby sister to depression. She suffered from a heartbreak on top of a few other factors. And when she passed away, before that, we had agreed that we would start a sisterhood company to empower women to actually find a path that really ignites them, live a life of purpose, and to thrive. Unfortunately, she did not make it through. And I thought, well, either I can choose to be on the ground or I can choose to leverage this and turn it pain into purpose. And so that's what I did. I also had to look at my 17 years marriage. Unfortunately, it was devastating to admit that I was not in a healthy one. And I realized, do I see myself being with a partner for the next 3 years? And the answer was no. So I said, okay, you got a choice now. It's a tough choice because you go into a marriage wanting to last forever. You never expected this, but I wanted to live a life of purpose. And so I chose to create Eternal Love, helping single people, men and women, to find true love. And I was blessed to have a third chance at love after 2 failed relationships. So a total of 20 years experience with my social work trainings and working with my clients. I do what I love the most is helping people find true love. So yeah.
Yeah. And your story is very unique, I think, because I don't know I actually do know one person that we know in common who has had that same experience in dealing with that horrible situation. But we don't think that these horrible things like, the genocide and the Khmer Rouge and living in camps, we think of that like way back in the old days, but that 1975, right? Not very far in the past, is it? And that must have been, it must have been really traumatic for you and your family. But now you've taken all of that negativity that you had to experience, and you've turned it, and through your love for your sister and just your energy. I think honestly, Ry, I could not see you not doing something where you're not infusing people with that positivity. So I think that's fantastic.
Thank you so much, Marty. I mean, the energy is right back at you. It's reflecting back at you. You are just the most amazing person and the sweetest person and so good at what you do. And so I was just blessed. It's like all of those. My parents were really good at sheltering me, nurturing me through the refugee camp. I didn't really know a whole lot, didn't really understand a whole lot until I got older and I volunteer in the Cambodian community, understanding the whole genocide and everything. But that really trains me to have a positive outlook on life and to really just take obstacle as something that I can leverage. It's always a lesson behind it. I can always choose to see the negative, or I can choose to see an opportunity behind the obstacle. And I would rather play the game of trying to find the gem behind the darkness and finding that light. And so that's what I do. And plus, I am a cheesy kind of gal. I love chick flicks. I've always been in love with love. And every time, like when I get sad or depressed, I would watch very romantic movie. And my sister, she just hates it. She's like, ah, it's so gooey.
But I do think that, so we're talking specifically, most of the people listening today are going to be either in a divorce right now or out of a divorce. And we've had this theme, whether it's attorneys I've been talking with, relationship coaches, or people that have just had really overwhelming experiences in life or through divorce. The people that come out the other side, and they are, as one of my guests said, better, not bitter. That takes a concentrated effort. And it's not something that, people have to work at being positive when you're going through dark times or difficult times. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know that that's what your book is about, right?
Yes, so Choose You, Choose Happiness is my book, and it's actually being launched on June 6th. But when we'll air this, it'll be in August. You can still purchase the book. But it's really all about, I wanted to, because in my 17 years marriage, I lost my identity. I fused my identity with my ex-husband. I was 21 years younger. No, 19 years. I was 21, but we were 19 years different. So I didn't know. I was raised in a culture that was all about your husband and about your family and putting yourself last. If you even have the time, oftentimes you never do. And so it's all about pouring love into somebody else and everybody else, but never towards myself. And so that's why this book was really a rediscover of my own power, of who I am, what I love, what ignites me, what makes me happy, what makes me sad. And when we say choosing yourself or pouring self-love to us, that's how we learn to be more fulfilled, more anchored. In order to call in true love, you need to be able to be self-sufficient and okay in your own skin, whether you have a partner or not. I want to teach people to be unshakable in the sense of who they are in their true essence and loving themselves, so that when you're becoming that person, the best version of yourself, you can also attract a partner that is whole instead of a broken partner.
Right. And so many, and I love that. And I think that, that's something I talk to my clients about, although I do not do any of the relationship coaching. It's beyond me. I leave it to experts like you to help people through that. What do you think? I know you talk a lot about unconditional love. So can you talk a little bit about what unconditional love is? Because, well, let me not stack questions like that. Tell us about unconditional love.
So unconditional love for me, it means for oneself. That means not judging ourselves, being kinder towards oneself, and really just in the most difficult time to accept who we are with all of our defects, despite what society says, despite all of the things that our parents or people or authority may have a judgment upon us. So the unconditional love is really just accepting ourselves with our true self, with our shadow, and making men with these two worlds, because you do need your shadow, you do need your darkness. Your darkness can also be your light. I like in the Cambodian culture as well as in the Chinese culture, There's like the energy of the dark energy and the light, the yin and the yang. Both is needed. You need to go through hardship in order to appreciate the good time. So for me to have that unconditional love, meaning that I do have flaws, meaning that I'm not always perfect, but I accept those imperfect part of me, because that imperfect part of me is what makes me unique and it's what makes me stand out. So to do that for a partner, it means the same thing. So for your partner, you accept them that sometimes they will fail you. Sometimes they might not be perfect. They might show up in a certain way that you might not like it. But at the same time, you accept them for who they are, and you try to practice compassion to let them be themselves without going, I want you to be this because you're my partner, because you're my husband, and all of these different expectations. When you impose that on a person, automatically there's too much heaviness. And so the chance of success is less.
So, and that is, I think, a wonderful explanation that I get the unconditional love being for yourself, because I really think that when you can stand and this is who I am and I'm proud of myself and I'm comfortable in my skin and I'm in alignment with my values. I always talk to my clients about being in alignment with your values. When you can do that, then you're right. You attract a network of people around you, friends, whether they're relationships or just friendships. That's all okay. That's so positive. Where do you draw the line with a partner between being unconditionally and loving them, and I don't know how to say this politically correctly, so I'm just going to say it, and making excuses for really bad behavior? And I think of so many women that have been in emotionally abusive situations or coercive situations where they just wanted to see the gem in that partner, and he was just really a big stinking pile of you know what. So Can you talk a little bit about how do you decide whether which way to go with that?
That's a really good question. So you first need to know about who you are. Like, for example, if I'm the type of person, I didn't know that before. So I didn't know I was a very giving, like I understand I'm very kind, but I didn't know I was an overgiver. I didn't know that I see too much positive, that I couldn't tell when they're actually crossing that red line. So one thing is learning to be with oneself, to have that self-awareness. Who am I? Am I the type of person that self-excuse a lot the person, or I'm more right in the middle, or I tend to go to the other side? Which part of the pendula are you on?
Right.
So I'm more of the person who have a huge tolerance of pain and a huge heart that tends to forgive too much. So I actually have to gauge myself. So when a partner is doing something to me, I'm like, okay, this is where I'm about to go again. I'm about to make a whole bunch of excuses for him when I should just see things for what they are without my optimistic eyeglasses glance. So it's okay to have that positive side, but you also have to see things for what they are without putting blinders on. I used to be the type of person who likes to put a blinder on because it shifts my world upside down, it throws me upside down. So I like to just make a whole bunch of excuses. Well, he didn't know what he was doing. So when you know what your like do not like I forgot they're called the non-negotiable. Like
Right.
I do not tolerate languages that are abusive to me. I do not tolerate physical violence. I will not accept an alcoholic person. I will not accept a person who has an addiction and somebody who's not willing to work on themselves. I bring a whole bunch of quality, and I want to be able to bring a partner who also has those immutable quality with a slight little defect that I can work with. Some behavior for each person, we are much more tolerable. Other behavior, it's a definite no-no. Like
Right.
I can't be with somebody who is a smoker. I don't smoke. It will suffocate me. It will make me, unhappy. So knowing those boundaries and being self-aware of the type of person that you are will allow you to know where do you draw the line. Otherwise, you're just going to be easily swayed and you're going to make a whole bunch of excuses for a partner that doesn't treat you right.
Right. And I think that that is a wonderful explanation of how that pendulum, I think, because I tend to swing to the other end of that where, you know, you kind of show bad behavior even once, and you're already getting pushed out to the outer circle of my friendship limit, you know. Now, somebody who I know and trust and love, and who's been in my inner circle of associates, they have a lot more flexibility. Like if they mess up once or twice, I'm definitely going to forgive them. I hope they would do the same for me, right? And I think that's the thing is what you work with people on is looking at those patterns and then taking them apart, because some of the things in those patterns might really be good in having a healthy and positive relationship, right?
It's almost, I always say, it's almost knowing your own DNA. So, like, understanding your programming, your DNA. If you know you're the type of person to tolerate bad behavior at a much larger scale, like me, it doesn't affect me. Somebody could actually be really bad for a long time before I actually realized, oh, they're actually not being nice. I thought it was just, they're just making unconscious, unintentional mistake. But I've learned to know who I am, know what the average people response is, and realize I have a little bit more tolerance, but I will not go to the other extreme of where I used to be. I'm going to back somewhere in the middle that I feel comfortable. And if you're about to do something for somebody, and let's say you imagine you break up with them and you feel like you resent them, then that means you overcross your line, you overgive. So it cannot feel that way. You always want to check in with your emotion. Am I willing to do this? If there's something inside that like, I don't want to do this, but I'm just like, he's my partner and whatnot, but it doesn't sit right. It has to feel like oftentimes that it sits right with you. And then that means that, okay, it's not too bad. You're gauging, you're tolerant, you're being acceptable. And of course, in our common circle of close people, we tend to have a little bit more slack, more leeway, and that's totally normal. Just don't go to the other extreme, either too much or not enough. They make one mistake and you kick them out.
Yeah.
So that's not healthy either.
Balanced approach is so important. I do have one other question I definitely want to ask you, though.
Yes.
How do you know? Let's say you've just been through a divorce and you are getting back in the dating world. And so just to be full disclosure, I try to recommend my clients spend at least 6 months to a year not dating, really getting in touch with yourself. If you go out with friends and do casual stuff, that's fine, but don't be looking for a serious relationship. When I say dating, I mean you're not looking for the next spouse, right? You're just kind of out there having fun, meeting new people, doing whatever. All that's great. But how do you know, or how do you gauge whether or not you're just kind of, in a rebound relationship, or whether this is really a person, whether it's really a love connection? How, as a relationship coach, I'm sure you get that question all the time, right?
Yes, of course. So when you're going through that process, and that's a really good suggestion, but it's unique for each person. So I know I'm a very self-reflective individual, so it didn't take me long, like to actually be in a relationship. I would have wanted to give myself like 6 months to a year before I actually get into a relationship. I had to check in with myself. Am I ready? Has my wound, has the pain soothe it, or am I still resentful? There's still things lingering, some issue that I might need to work on, because those pain, if you don't resolve them, you will bring those pain into your new relationship. You will taint that relationship, and that will askew the way your lens is how you interact with your partner, even though she might not be doing the wrong stuff. You're living in the past wound, right? So you have to check in with yourself. Am I ready? Be honest with yourself. So I actually had to ask myself, am I able, have I healed enough? Am I ready to receive this? And don't go into like, I got to find my husband and my wife. If you go with that perspective, there's a good chance that you're going to catch the wrong type of partner that will do you a whole lot of pain. But if you're going in there, you're loving your life, you're loving your new leisure, you're rediscovering yourself, and you're kind of like, I'm just going to let the universe bring whatever connection. And if it feels natural, good relationship tends to naturally kind of fall into place without feeling forced or rushing something to work out. When you feel that you have to force something, that means it's an indication that you or him might not be ready for this relationship. So give yourself time. If you're the type of person, like each person is really unique, but Marty's suggestion to take time and reflect to not repeat the same behavior and mistake is very wise. And when it comes to love, I always say slow down. Don't rush it. You don't really know the person. They don't reveal their true self until 1, 2 years. And even that, when you've been many years with them, there's still a lot to uncover. So I'm the type of person who rushes into love. I know that about myself, but I've learned to do the opposite. So you kind of have to monitor, and that's why relationship coach are good. We give you perspective and blind spot that you are not aware of. So I'm the type of person who knows what I like. I see what I like. I go for it. I locked it in, and that's it. That's how I work. But not everybody is like that. And not everybody is as honest and transparent as you are. So you need to be cautious. So I did the complete opposite because I know I failed in my two relationships for rushing. So my third relationship, I had to put the brakes down. I had to take perspective and I have to stop imagining the positive of seeing the potential in my partner and see him for what he truly is and ask myself the question, if he's never to change with the little flaw, little things that he have, will I be able to still love him and accept him for who he is? And the answer was yes. I didn't want to change anything about him because his fundamental fill me up completely. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That is, that is such, again, you have such a wonderful way of explaining really difficult concepts, but in a really connecting way. I think that everybody can relate to, because so many of my clients are in high conflict divorces. So they've been married to a toxic person, whether they're narcissist, borderline, obsessive compulsive. There's a whole, category of people that can fall in there. And what I find is, like you said, these patterns tend to repeat. And we know that one of the tricks, if you want to call it, of that cluster B personality partner is they try to rush into a relationship really fast. Like you date 3 nights and they want to move in together, and, they want to get married in a few months. And they just seem to be too perfect to be true. So I always tell people, if those things are happening, maybe you've met Mr. or Mrs. Right, but maybe you've met your next toxic person. So just be really careful, right?
There's a good 85% when they're pouring their love bombing on you, they seem like you're Prince Charming, they rush you, and they're pouring all of that emotion dopamine on you. Be cautious because that's what you get stuck in the story. Like that's what happened in my last partner. They bombarded me with all of these love does, and then when their behavior started changing and they started mistreating you, but then your heart don't understand, it longs for the good memory and it goes, but he used to be this way, he used to be kind to me, so a part of that would still live in him. But the truth is they knew who they were. So that's why I say take your time when you're feeling rushed and they want to do this thing.
Yeah.
Good relationship really truly feel like you are safe. You feel safe. You feel seen. You're accepted for who you are. And if you're not ready, they're not going to rush you because a loving partner, the last thing they want to do is to rush you or impose values and concept on you.
Yeah. Yeah. Such an important message. Ree, of all the things we've talked about, and I've got a whole new perspective on this whole dating thing too. So tell me a little bit about what do you think is the important thing that anybody listening should remember when they take out their earbuds and go on about their busy day?
I say, like, really, truly, just learn to be with yourself and really just accept who you are and know that where you're at right now is exactly where you need to be. Despite all of the pain, despite all of the hardship, I know none of us want to live it, but there is a jewel behind those lessons. Use those jewel as your parachute, like to really, you know, shine brightly and really go for what you really want out of life. You can have anything and everything that you truly want, you have to be the one to give it to yourself and not wish for somebody else to come and complete you. You have everything inside of you to make yourself happy. Do that. When you're happy, it is magnetic for the people watching you, and they go, "Oh my God, she is such a magnetic person. I am so drawn to her. I am such lucky person if I get to be a glimpse, a part of her life." So
Yeah.
do that.
And if people want to find out more about what you do or get in touch with you and say, hey, I want to work with you, Ry, what's the best way to do that?
Yes, absolutely. So you can actually reach me at eternallove.net. In there on my website, there's everything that you need. There's my Calendly link. I have a 30-minute discovery. If you want to talk about love, you're not quite sure. You're like, I'm going through some stuff. I'm going through my divorce. I'm not sure if I'm ready. And if I am starting to date, what is the best way of doing that? I give you a roadmap. I do a love assessment of like, these is your pattern. This is what you want to do differently when you're looking for that true love. So it's done in 30 minutes, and you can do as you please with that roadmap. It really sets a clear path in which direction you have to go.
Thank you. How generous. And all this information is going to be in the show notes, so don't worry. You'll be able to have access to that. Ry, thank you so much for being here, sharing your expertise. As always, it was wonderful to speak with you. And again, just thanks for bringing this positive message to everybody because like I said, I think everybody needs a little more love these days. So
Thank you so much, Marty, for everything that you do. And I'm just so grateful to cross your path and for all of the things you're doing to help people who are going through a transition of divorce. Been there, so I know it's not easy. Thank God you exist and you do such an amazing job.
Well, thank you as well. And thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your busy day to listen in. And don't forget to tune in again next week to our next guest. Thanks for listening and supporting the D-Shift podcast. If you would like to attend live trainings by our amazing guests and have a chance to ask questions and get answers from our experts, join the D-Shift crew. For more details and to sign up, head on over to www.divorcecoachforwomen and click on the podcast page.